You may have heard that Dead Space, one of the best horror games of all time, is getting a full from the ground up remake. If you're at all familiar with the game, you know that it was released in 2008 and has held up incredibly well. This game could be released tomorrow and it wouldn't feel out of place in the current gaming climate. It's an amazing third-person survival horror game with a rich and fascinating world. The universe around Dead Space was so carefully crafted and it feels lived in. The necromorphs are terrifying and they are designed so well. The gameplay is fun and has barely aged in the 14 years since its release. With a game that is already this good, you could be asking yourself, does Dead Space really need a remake? Well, the answer is no, but we're getting one anyway, so let's talk about it. As it is with most things like this, there are people on both sides of the aisle when it comes to this game. People who are excited for more Dead Space, even if it's just a remake, and people who feel strongly that this remake is a waste of time and Dead Space is already basically perfect. I think I personally fall somewhere in the middle. I truly don't think Dead Space needs a remake. It's a classic game that is a hallmark of the horror genre, and like I said, it has aged really well. However, at the same time, I'm just kind of happy EA even remembers that Dead Space exists. I also understand people who think the remake is a bad idea though. It is unnecessary and there is definitely a chance it turns out badly. But I honestly think the developers of the remake have been really straightforward with us fans. The developer streams, whatever you think of the game itself, are a really awesome way to be transparent and let us know exactly what changes they are implementing. Even small stuff. I don't know if it was the developer's idea to do these streams or if it was an EA mandated thing, but either way, I really appreciate that they are at least trying to show that they are taking this seriously. They even put together a committee of hardcore Dead Space fans to give feedback and kind of oversee the development process to make sure it stays true to the original. I don't know who any of these people are or why they think they get to speak for all Dead Space fans, but still, it's a neat idea. The developers haven't really done anything before besides Star Wars Squadrons, so this is the biggest thing they've worked on. I can't really imagine that they aren't taking it as seriously as possible, especially considering the weight of Dead Space's legacy. Another thing I think people need to keep in mind is that the developers of the remake probably didn't pick this project. EA saw how successful Capcom was with the Resident Evil remakes and how much money those games made. So naturally they thought to themselves, do we have anything we could do the same thing with? Then, while looking through the graveyard of the franchises they either let die or straight up murdered, they tripped over the corpse of the Dead Space franchise and were like, hey, this game is like Resident Evil, dig this sucker up and remake it. And that's exactly how it went. My point in all this is don't hold it against the developers that this remake exists. They were just given this job and I legitimately think they are trying to do their best with what they were given. One of the things that worked so well about the Resident Evil remakes was the fact that the games being remade were originally on the PS1. They were old and really outdated. Not saying they were bad or anything, but it made way more sense to remake and reimagine them as modern games, and the results were great. I love those games, even if Resident Evil 3 Remake is, half a game. Resident Evil 2 Remake is actually what got me into Resident Evil in the first place, and I love that series. This doesn't and can't really be applied to the Dead Space remake. Dead Space just isn't outdated like RE2 and 3 were. The differences between the remake and original won't be as drastic or necessary. Like I said in the beginning of the video, Dead Space holds up remarkably well with modern games. They knocked it out of the park with this game. Dead Space 2 is still the best in the franchise, and you cannot change my mind about that. If we're being really honest, all EA needed to do was what they did with Mass Effect. Give us a remaster of the first 3 games, with some small quality of life improvements, packaged together neatly into one easy-to-purchase game, just like the Legendary Edition of Mass Effect. I would love that. I just want to be able to play the Dead Space trilogy on my PS5. Give me that and I am happy. I think most, if not all, fans of the series would rejoice if they did that. Or hell, if you're feeling adventurous, EA, you could just make Dead Space 4. Either way, that's not what they decided to do. They took one of their developers and put them to work on a full, from-the-ground-up remake on a game that doesn't really need it. That is the reality of what this is, but regardless, it's happening. So honestly, I think we should just kind of embrace it as much as we can. The people against this remake need to keep in mind that the existence of the remake doesn't mean the original gets Thanos snapped. It'll still be there, just play that instead if you're that unwilling to give it a chance. Plus, I think some of the improvements are pretty cool. There's the peeling system that lets you blast chunks off the necromorphs as you shoot them, so that's pretty sick. There's the alive system, which, while not super noticeable, does add some extra realism to the game and could definitely add to the immersion. It seems like they are doing a pretty great job of keeping the original atmosphere of the OG game, while giving us a new next-gen looking version of said game. And there's my personal favorite change. Isaac will actually talk this time. Honestly, it's super weird that Isaac is a silent protagonist. I just don't think it works in a game as realistic as Dead Space. Realistic being relative, obviously. It's made more egregious with him being fully voice acted in the sequels. Full-grown adult man Isaac Clarke decides to just not talk for the entire first game for no real reason. It's weird. Also, Gunnar Red is awesome as Isaac, and he's returning for the remake, so that's sick. I think if they didn't get him back, I would just rather him not be voiced than have someone else do it, so hey, it worked out great in my eyes. And based on what the developers said in one of their streams, they are still going to keep Isaac as quiet as possible, having him only talk when it makes sense, or more accurately, when it doesn't make sense for him not to speak. Like when he finally meets up with his girlfriend, the whole reason for him being there in the first place. It makes sense for him to, speak to her. There is obviously the chance that they overdo it with the dialogue, and that could definitely ruin some moments of the game, but we'll just have to see. Also, if you like Dead Space but hate the idea of this remake, then make sure to check out the Callisto Protocol, which is releasing sometime this December. I think it's like December 1st or something. It's being made by the original co-creator of Dead Space, and most consider it a spiritual successor to the franchise. And after seeing the trailer for it, it is definitely living up to that. I am so stoked for this game, and to see if it can recapture the magic of the first Dead Space game with new IP, it's going to be so exciting. I cannot wait. Super excited. December, just be here already. Thank you. Regardless if you're pro or anti Dead Space Remake, you should definitely support this game. I want to see more stuff like this happen in the future. I mean, if it is bad, you don't have to support it then, but let's be real, it will probably kick ass. It looks amazing, and God, I hope that doesn't age badly. Alright, well anyway, in conclusion to this disjointed ass video, the Dead Space remake doesn't need to exist, and if it's cancelled tomorrow, I will feel completely indifferent. However, for the time being, it is still happening, so I say embrace it, and let's just see how it turns out. The foundation of this remake is already a fantastic game, so it'd be really hard for them to mess it up. I mean, it is EA, so I wouldn't put it past them, but I think it looks promising so far. In the end, I'm just kind of hoping that if the game is successful, we might actually get Dead Space 4 or some kind of continuation of the series. I want more Dead Space. At this point, I don't care how it happens. I don't really know what the point of this video was, but if you enjoyed this for some reason, then leave a like down below and subscribe to this channel. Right now, we're kind of reconfiguring how we do things on Tid and Maxx, so stick around and let us know what kind of content you'd want to see from us. Check out what we do already have on this channel. We got some Let's Plays, we do some movie reviews, some tier lists, all good stuff, all fantastic. Check it out. And I will see you in whatever I do next. Thanks for watching.